Alright, my fellow YouTubians. My name is Denonu, aka the man with black privilege. And this is gonna be Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 3, Episode 3, A Wanted Inhuman. This is gonna be my little episode synopsis slash review. And I'm just gonna give my thoughts upon it. So far I like this episode. It kinda sorta it's kinda what I'm assuming is laying the foundation for season 3. You had a lot of sort of little things going on in the episode as far as showing all the different power players that's going to be in it. The only person that they really didn't show, or whose group they didn't show, is basically Ward with his new Hydra. They didn't really jump into that at all. I'm assuming we're probably gonna get more of that in the next episode. But it started off with, I guess, I think what's the guy's name, Lincoln, the Inhuman guy who uses electricity. He's pretty much running away from this other factions. I forget what they call them in the show, but because I know you have basically S.H.I.E.L.D. is trying to help him, and then you have this other faction who wants to capture him, and he's running away from them. They're putting out his info on the news, saying he's an alien threat. They're really trying to, capture him, and that's pretty much most of the dynamic in this episode is him getting away, with him being backed into a corner and everything like that, and you have S.H.I.E.L.D. and company trying to help him out, while also dealing with Simmons coming back and dealing with that. And you also had May and what's the guy's name, Hunter, doing the whole Fight Club thing, which I thought was pretty cool. But starting out, I did like the tone of the episode, of how it's kind of sort of, at least when it came to the Lincoln stuff, it was kind of frantic. They tried to make it seem like, it had that fugitive vibe to it, where he, just broke out of jail or something like that, and he was trying to get away, and everywhere he turned, they was always like one step ahead of him. I thought that was pretty good. He actually, I think they're going to do a lot with his character, because I think he's going to be a mainstay on the season. I don't think that they're just using him for a few episodes and then that's it. Only because I keep seeing him in like promo art and stuff for this season, so I think he's going to join the team eventually. But they did have a lot of sort of things happen with his character, where I remember halfway in the episode he asked this guy for help, and I'm assuming he was a guy who helped him early on, because he mentioned that several times, that I'm assuming Lincoln was drinking, and the guy was a part, who was helping him out with that, because just based on a few things that they said to each other. And when the guy found out Lincoln was on TV and stuff, he instantly turned him in, which was a dick move. But as Lincoln was trying to leave, he accidentally scared the guy into a heart attack and ended up killing him. I know he tried to use his powers to start his heart again. They didn't show him dying per se, so I thought that he was going to be fine. I thought he was going to bring him back, but then when they next showed the scene, he was like, I killed him. So I was like, damn, they just left him, like they just let him die. So I thought that was pretty cool. And he felt a lot of guilt because of it. All of that stuff about in season 2 that he was saying to Skye, talking about, oh yeah, you're not a monster, your powers are a gift, all that Professor Xavier nonsense. All of that went out the window, because now he thinks that he's a monster and things like that, because he feels all of this stuff that's happening to him is justified. And he feels that, that he kind of sort of deserves what happens to him, and so he doesn't care about it as much anymore. And now she, the shoe was on the other foot, where she's trying to be like, no, look, you do have a purpose, you do have this, you're not a monster, you're not evil, and it's kind of like the roles are flipped this season. So I thought that was pretty good with his character. They did kind of sort of pull a dick move with Coulson and company, because they kind of sort of got caught in a bind where the other lady was gonna have him taken regardless, and Coulson was trying to stop her, and he didn't have no leverage on her, and so he had to agree to it. I think that's going to be like a weird, unique twist that they kind of sort of bring up in future episodes. When he does join up, he's never going to like fully trust him, because of all the dirty backstabbing spy shit that keeps getting done to him. But I just think that they're going to bring that up at a later point, because the only person who really didn't agree with it was Sky. So um May and Hunter stuff with Hydra, I know I mentioned before they did the whole Fight Club thing. That was kind of cool because I wasn't expecting that to be as, let's say, violent as it was. Uh, and you know, by any means, it wasn't overly violent or anything like that. They just tried to make it, but I know it's TV, so I mean, it doesn't get too dark. But if a lot of the viewers, it is kind of dark for the family friendly tone of the show. Like, if you guys understand what I'm saying, it has a lot of stuff in it that, let's say, isn't family friendly, but it does kind of take the same air as, let's say, like most of the Marvel movies where they try to make it it doesn't get, let's say, as dark as, let's say, Daredevil, you know, on Netflix, or some of the newer stuff they're doing with that. They try to keep a more family friendly tone. So seeing that kind of stuff on a TV show like that is kind of sort of jarring to those people who don't expect it. But I know for me, I thought it was pretty cool because I thought that they were just gonna, like, oh yeah, let's sneak in the Hydra, and you know, they're gonna, you know, do it off like a one, like behind the scenes thing where they're not gonna show you what they did, where they're just gonna meet some guy, get the information out of him, whatever. But it was like a unique twist on how to get in, and it kind of, you know, you basically saw Hunter get his ass handed to him, and you saw May, you know, whoop some ass again, which is always a sight to see. But so far they didn't really do a lot with that. They never got into Hydra. I think the last thing that you showed with it was him actually meeting with the guy who was hanging around Ward. So they never really got in to do anything. I'm assuming they're gonna save that for episodes down the line. But again, I know I mentioned this in the last episode too. I still think the Hydra thing is redundant. We've already had 2 seasons of that. Why are they even jumping into the whole Hydra thing? It makes no sense. It really doesn't. I would have wanted Ward to start up his own little squad rather than just jumping in Hydra. Hell, even if I wouldn't even have him in Hydra at all, period. Like, I would keep him far away from Hydra. You know, I would drop Hydra altogether because their purpose, excuse me, their purpose in the movies and in the TV show was kind of sort of done. Like, why even bring them back? I would have him join. I would go to the comic books and pick out another group of people and have him join up with them. Like, if you wanted to have him join up with the group, if you didn't want to have, I personally would prefer him by himself, or let's say by himself with a group of people to try to come at Coulson and company or whatever, you know. But if you did want to have him join up, go in the comic books, pick up a group of people that, let's say, the Marvel movies aren't doing anything with. Hell, you know, make them join up with AIM, something like that. You know, a fringe group of AIM that wasn't, let's say, focused on technology as much, or, you know, any other group of, you know, people like that that's like Hydra in the comic books, because there's tons of them in Marvel, and have him, you know, do whatever he wants to do from there. You don't have to jump in with Hydra and all of that, because like I said before, it's very, very redundant, and I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that are tired of seeing or having, you know, the characters talk about Hydra and shit like they're a threat when you clearly disbanded them several times. So it's just kind of pointless, or at least that's how I feel about it. Let's see. The end of the episode was pretty cool. Nothing really got resolved per se. You basically has Simmons. She's going through weird psychological issues. Where they explained it by having her getting adapted to Earth again for the most part. Where on this alien planet, since everything was so different, now that she's back, her body has gotten used to being on this other planet that has different conditions, like oxygen, gravity, water, all that kind of sort of stuff. And now that she's back on Earth, you know, her body's out of whack, you know, and she has to get used to it again. One thing that's bugging me about none of that, and they're kind of sort of whitewashing it where they're not speaking about it or nothing like that, is she was being hunted by something that they keep showing flashes of whenever she gets really nervous and shit. So what I'm thinking is that whatever was chasing her on this alien planet came back with her, and she's, let's say, sensing this presence or whatever, because they showed a few times in the episode. But one thing that's bugging me about all of that is she was on this alien planet supposedly for what, like months? Like, how did she eat? How did she drink? I didn't see no plants, no water, no kind of shelter, all the basic, things that people need to survive. She did not have. She's not a hunter, so I didn't see her with no weapons. It would be different, like if they pulled her back and she had tattered clothes, she had like a little makeshift spear, some kind of weapon she would use to fight this thing. She had scars on her. Like the only thing they showed her with was like scars and bruises. It's like, there's nothing to make me believe that, she survived being hunted by this creature for like months and months on end with nowhere to hide, mind you. It ain't like she felt like, got dropped off in the middle of a forest or something like that. It's like, no, it was a desert, a sandy, windy desert. So she should have got killed within like the first couple days. It would be different if, let's say, she learned how to be a survivor and, they kind of made that believable, but they didn't. Like, oh, she just survived for like, 6 to 8 months. And it's like, that makes no sense right now. They're not showing none of it. And I wish they would at least have, let's say, like, Arrow-like flashbacks of her being on this planet, showing her surviving. Because right now, that's completely unbelievable to me. It makes no damn sense. And I wish they would at least explain what this other planet was. At least something about the obelisk. Well, not the obelisk, but the fucking, getting my seasons mixed up. But I forget what they call it, but the big Inhuman stone thing. But I wish that they would at least explain what that was, because they never did explain that as far as where it would transport you to. They just show people using it and all of that, but they never explained where they go, why people send people through it, or nothing. So I'm assuming that's going to be a big thing as the season goes on, but I would rather like more explanation, because of that. So I thought that was pretty cool. Nothing really big happened. I know another moment that stood out to me was pretty much you had Skye and Mac playing Halo. I thought that was pretty cool. Even though we could tell Mac wasn't playing that shit because if you're a gamer, and I hate when they do this in TV shows. They'll show somebody playing a game, but they'll just be clicking the controller all really fast for no reason. And it's like, that's not how you play games, man. At least get somebody that's in there that, can sit down or at least play the damn game before. But I just find it really weird that they always do that in TV shows. But anything, I really did like this episode. It was pretty good. One thing that's bugging me, and I hope they get to it at the end of the season, is I really want to see Skye let loose. I know they probably won't never do it, but I want to see her wreck shit, kind of like how in the comic book and how nice she was with her powers. I know they're probably never going to get there in the TV series, but every time I see her use her powers, I want to see something badass like her character does in the comic book. Because in the comic book, for those of you who don't know, Nick Fury basically trains her to be an extreme badass with her powers, where she can pretty much destabilize molecules and all this other badass shit using her vibration powers and everything. So I think it's pretty cool if they would have bring that into the TV show, at least somewhat, have like a sort of progression with her character. Like, yeah, she knows how to use them and throw little blasts out here and there. But as the series goes on, I wish they would do something, let's say like The Flash, where every few episodes, let's say she's training more and more and she learns different abilities, or she learns how to use her powers in a different way to for different things. Like, I want to see some power character growth, if that makes sense. I just don't want her to be like a one-trick pony. But as anyways, if you guys have anything to say about this episode, or if you guys want to debate about anything I've said, please do let me know down there in the comments below. Definitely expect more reviews like this as the season goes on. I'm going to try to do them every Wednesday. And amongst with the other things that I'm doing with anime episodes, things like that. And my name has been Denonu, the man with black privilege. The biggest and blackest privilege on YouTube, mind you. And I'll catch you guys in the next episode. Peace out.